Hey everyone, it's Katie from Temple of Cosmic Astrology, and I just wanted to record this short energy and astrological update for some of the cycles that we're experiencing at the moment, over this weekend and really the next kind of 10 days in particular. We're going through a very, very deep shift and transit, and I've been getting a lot of messages, even through my dream space, related to this, so I thought I would share them with you. Before I get started with that though, apologies if there's any background noise or anything. I live in the noisiest apartment block ever. This is like the third time I've tried to record this, and the time before this, old guy came out and started yelling, so hopefully we don't have any more disturbances, but yeah, if there is anything going on in the background, I do apologize for that. But I think I'll start with my dream space, because this is kind of where I felt like really guided to channel some of this information for you. So a couple of nights ago, I woke up from this dream, and it was so intense. I have these dreams that happen sometimes, and the wording comes through so strongly for me. It's these repeated words over and over again. It's like it's tattooed into my brain. And the words this time that came to me, it must have been two nights ago, was masculine templates activating. And I found that really interesting with the current cycle that we're in with Chiron transiting from Pisces to Aries, because it is part of a greater masculine vibration awakening that we are going through. And I felt that, a lot of the dream that I had really pertained to that information. So it then triggered me, because I was like, why does this sound so familiar? Masculine templates activating. What does this mean to me? And I realized that in April last year, Chiron actually already shifted into Aries. So he moved from 29 Pisces to 0 degrees Aries. And he spent a few months there. So he got to maybe, 2 degrees of Aries before he began his retrograde cycle. And he moved back into the sign of Pisces. So if you think back to your life around, April last year, we got a little bit of a taste of the coming healing and multidimensional awakening cycle that we are moving into. And I was like, masculine templates activating, what is it with this? And I realized that I actually had the same dream when we had these same transits last year. And I actually went back to my astrology forecasts that I write, and I looked in April and I found this, and I wanted to read some of it to you because it's really bringing this theme through very strongly. So with Chiron, on Wednesday you may have felt quite emotionally triggered, because we had the moon moving through Pisces and coming into a conjunction with Chiron for the last time for this whole Chiron cycle that we've been in for the last 8 years. So it's been a very, very emotional week. A lot of very deep ancestral collective woundings and traumas have been coming up through our physical vessel to be transmuted. It's a time that we've had to really be gentle on ourselves, and to give ourselves the space to really process what's coming up at this point in time, because the emotional nature of the moon moving over this Chiron vibration definitely triggered a lot of this victimhood and suffering vibration to Pisces that we're really trying to shift away from. So you may have felt a lot of that stuff coming up for you. And now the moon is in Aries today as I'm recording this for you. And it's really interesting because the moon is about to move over both Mars and Uranus in the final degrees of Aries. before Uranus moves into Taurus in early to mid-March. And both Chiron and Uranus moved into these signs last year within about a 2-week period of each other. And this is now happening again. However, they're not going to retrograde back into their previous signs. So this is where I was guided to kind of check back on what I was writing, the last time we had these shifts. And it was really interesting because the moon actually played a really significant role in what I brought through in April last year. So I want to read to you what I wrote for this time period. So we've got, this new moon is conjunct Uranus, the great awakener. Collectively, this energy is bringing intense downloads, messages, dreams, and sudden insights, giving us clarity and deep knowing where we have previously felt blind. Walls are crumbling to make space for what we are truly aligned with, to flow in with grace and with ease. This is a time to move forward in any part of your life where you have felt stuck or blocked, particularly around communication with Mercury retrograde in Aries. Where is your heart calling you to grow and expand? New soul family connections and distant lands have been whispering to your soul, and this new moon cycle sets the phase of your path into creation and manifestation. However, don't be tempted to break down other people's walls to get to where you want to be. Aries can sometimes rush blindly and try to force things to happen before their time. This is especially important to be mindful of when dealing with intimate partners. Don't push or coerce others to give you what you think you need right now. Instead, relax, open your heart, and trust that those who are truly walking hand in hand with you will meet you when they are ready. Remember, we each have our own calling to follow, even when in divine partnership and union. Just bear with me for the rest of it. Your intuitive vibes are spot on, so don't hurry what is blossoming naturally along its own mystical pathway. Chiron moving into Aries after 8 years in Pisces and working on healing the divine feminine wounds, which is ushering in deep healing, awakening, and transformation of the divine masculine energies and wounds now. The polarity shift we've been feeling is coming into balance under this transit, which the new moon is activating. So interesting that, so much of this time period that we're experiencing now is so in alignment with this dream that I had. Again, this masculine shift is coming in. Chiron moving into Aries is the spiritual warrior. And within all of us, we have our inner masculine and our inner feminine vibration. And the inner masculine within us is rising. He's ready to take guided divine action into making his dreams and desires come true, to really shift out of a lot of patriarchal blocked energy and really integrating the lessons of Chiron in Pisces. And another thing that I wanted to touch on with this is in April we have Pluto, Saturn and the South Node in Capricorn forming a conjunction. So wherever 22 degrees of Capricorn is in your chart is where you are being completely broken down and being rebuilt from the ground up. This is, and if you look at your astrology chart, if you look at what house this is really going to illuminate for you just what very intimate, direct part of, your soul is calling to be transformed. Because Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, transformation, it's the transpersonal. And with Saturn coming across here, it's structure, boundaries, discipline. And we really need to move through this. It is heavy energy. With the South Node here as well, it's incredibly karmic. But without this transit, we will not be able to fully move into the anchoring of the age of Aquarius. Pluto is moving into Aquarius off the top of my head, around 2026. There will be retrogrades and things like that, so maybe not fully until around 2000 and maybe 27, 28. But definitely by the end of that decade, we will be in Pluto in Aquarius. So until that point, we're really still working through a lot of patriarchal conditioning, breaking down of the masculine energy that doesn't really support us in any way. Maybe it brings in, money or things like that, but it doesn't really sustain us. So have a think about where that fits into your own chart. I know for me, it's my 11th house. So it's really restructuring a lot in my life around friendships and the communities that I find myself in, and really healing a lot of toxic energy that tends to come up in these situations for me, and through my own choices as well as my experiences through other people, and really learning to find people that truly resonate and vibrate with me, that I don't need to put myself in situations anymore to please other people. I have Neptune here as well natally, so that's another lesson for me in not always being around the right people. But it's just something for you to think about, where this energy is sitting for you. If you don't know, take a look at your chart, go to astro.com, look it up. And look for 22 degrees Capricorn, because this is where a lot of stuff is going to be playing out for you, especially when this conjunction becomes exact for the first time in April. It will also, after a few retrogrades and things like that, it will be exact again in December of 2019. So this is an ongoing theme. But with Chiron moving, out of 29 degrees Pisces to 0 degrees Aries, this is the ultimate death and rebirth, because any planet that is at 29 degrees of any sign is really at that final point. It's really the culmination of all the energy and all the experiences of that sign before it shifts into a new signature. However, not only is 29 Pisces that final degree, but it's the final degree of the entire zodiac. So this is bringing in a complete multi-dimensional reset around some of the biggest themes that we've collectively been working through for 50 something years, and if not longer. A lot of the astrology that we have at the moment is incredibly rare and beautiful and profound, and some alignments haven't been seen for close to 500 to almost 1,000 years, and we're really living in very pivotal, pioneering times. And this is really what the theme of Chiron in Aries is to me, is this, we're here as way showers, as pioneers, to bring in the new earth vibration and experience it and ground that. It's all well and good to awaken and to be more conscious and to remember your connection to your soul and spirit. It's beautiful. There's nothing more beautiful than this realization and connection. But these aren't times to then be checking out and not bringing that joy and that wisdom and that grace. We've got to bring it down into this realm. We're here on earth for a reason, and we're here to transform the reality that we live in. So the more you can actually bring your essence down, through into your physical reality and ground that, there's a quote, I think it may be Jeff Brown, and he talks about ascending with 2 feet on the ground. And it's so important, the more grounded you are, the more connected you are to where you live, through your home environment, through the people that you surround yourself with, through your meditation practices, through, even just what brings you joy and love and lightness into your life. We tend to take things so seriously at times as well. And, especially at times like this with Chiron in this final degree, of Pisces. It's heavy, heavy times. As I touched on earlier in this recording, I spoke of this, this heavy ancestral burden and these feelings and confusing dreams and all of this stuff that's coming up through you. It's very, very watery energy, and it's the collective unconscious, so it can be a struggle to recognize like what's your own pain and what's the pain of another, especially those of us that are very sensitive and tuned into the more subtle vibrations. It can be a very, very emotional time, and with the cycle of the moon over the last few days since we had the new moon in Aquarius, it's really been so triggering, a lot of through my clients that I've spoken of and with and friends and things like that, and my own experiences. Things are changing in an instant, and it can be hard to hold our space with this, even if they're the most beautiful, incredible changes, that we've been praying for and asking for. It can still really shock us when this actually comes through and we don't, know how to handle our life when things are going good. It's almost like we think that when things are flowing and happening in a forward momentum for us, that someone's going to come in and take it all away from us, and that's a very Chiron in Pisces thought process, is that, it's always, expecting the worst, and we're really truly shifting out of this, and the more that you can hold space when things are flowing for you, because we are in a time of movement forward. All the planets, no planets are in retrograde at this point in time, and this is the last kind of few weeks that you really have to make something happen in your life that you've really been trying to work on bringing in for yourself. This doesn't always have to be physical. It can be something emotional, something spiritual. It could be physical, like a move, a relationship, a change of job, whatever it is for you. Most likely I'm going to say it's going to be linked between your Capricorn and Pisces houses. Capricorn for this Pluto-Saturn stuff we have going on. And of course Pisces, looking for 29 degrees Pisces in your chart. But this is where you're really receiving a lot of gifts and strength within yourself, because once the planets begin to move retrograde, again, once we have this South Node Saturn Pluto conjunction, like everything is going to come to a standstill. And we're really going to be in the very depths of facing what is triggered through this South Node aspect in particular. So it's something that I'm going to go deeper on over the coming weeks, especially this Capricorn energy that we have. But yeah, when I had this with this dream, this masculine templates activating, it just really reminded me of, the spiral of time and how things come back. They're repeated, but we always have an opportunity to do it better. And something from April and May is returning over the next kind of, I'm going to say like 2 to 6 weeks. And it may trigger you in a way that it triggered you at that point in time, but look at how much you've grown and experienced since that point in time. And it's absolutely, a cosmic time for taking intuitive action, because we always have choice. And, if you want to stay in the frequency that really took over 2018, like, you can do that, but we really have a chance to do it differently. And it's such a beautiful period to be in. My advice is that if you're feeling really emotional, drained, you're feeling some of the heavier aspects of this Chiron at 29 degrees, really take time out for yourself, detach, spend time in solitude, just to receive clarity and make a ritual, honor your heart space, whatever it is that that is dying at this time, really honor that, make an altar for it, bless it, thank it for the experiences that it brought in your life, and know that you're stepping beyond that now. Know that there is something more for you, that this cycle is closed, and that you can take all of the lessons with you, but you don't need to repeat the experiences. So yeah, I feel like I talked a lot. I hope that this has, brought something to you to kind of, for you to sit with and ponder and see how it integrates and fits in with your life over the next kind of couple of weeks. But yeah, thank you. I love you, and we will connect again soon.